Hey Scorpio, I am your astrologer, Wonder Girl, taking you to new heights. Here is your weekly forecast for the week of Monday, March 19th to Sunday, March 25th, 2018. And before I get started, I just wanted to remind you all, I do have a Mercury retrograde webinar coming up this Thursday, March 22nd at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Okay, in that webinar, I'm going to talk about Mercury retrograde, what's going on, what it all means, and of course the most important dates of the retrograde period. The way that I see it is that we're all becoming something new, someone new. We're doing something different we have not done before in some way and really beginning to move forward on it, especially now that Saturn is out of Sagittarius and that Mars is out of Sagittarius too. Well, now that we are becoming a new person and doing new things, we need to adjust our mindset to get on board with this new person that we're becoming and to do things by a new set of rules, a new set of thinking, a new way of thinking, instead of by an old set of rules, by an old person, by an old way of doing things that we no longer are anymore. Okay, so that's what I'm going to talk about in this retrograde, in this webinar, is how you can start to adjust your perspective to be a new person to move forward. Okay, so that's something you're interested in. Please sign up down below at the link in my description box, and I hope to see you all there. Now, what's going on this week, Scorpio, is that we've got the moon in a conjunction with Chiron at the very last degrees of Pisces in your 5th house of happiness. Okay, and that's going to be at the very, very beginning of this week on Monday and Tuesday. And I think what's going on is that you are trying to figure out, and perhaps have been trying to figure out for some time, what makes you happy, what you enjoy, what's going on here in regards to a passion project, if you have a passion project, in regards to kids or a romantic relationship. All right, I think you've been trying to figure out, how do I bring more of the happiness back into my life? Could also be leadership. I bring up 5th house rules leadership. Trying to figure out, how can I lead my life, lead an organization in the right way, doing some things that really just I enjoy and make me happy. With the conjunction to Chiron coming in, you could feel uncomfortable. It's hard for me to be happy. I don't have what it takes to be a leader. This romantic relationship isn't going to work out. But I think what's going on, especially with the new moon at this spot last week, is saying you got to figure out how to come into new chapters with something that you enjoy so that you can move forward working with kids better, being more confident in your leadership abilities, and doing more of what it is that you really like. All right, so that's what's coming in here at the beginning of this week. I think you're thinking a lot about what makes you happy and how you can move forward on this so that you can then do here, where the 6th house is Aries. Have a better job or set of daily routines, because on Wednesday, after the sun's been in this conjunction with Chiron, the sun is then going to leave Pisces and move into Aries in your 6th house. Okay, and I think what that's going to say is, now that you've been trying to figure out for the past few weeks and months what makes you happy, how you can work with kids better, do a passion project, lead, how can you start to do more of this on the day-to-day, so that you can have a job, a set of daily routines that aren't just all work, but that you actually like, that are actually kind of fun for you and that really resonate with you, you know, in your heart. Okay, and I think you're trying to make that switch from figuring out what makes you happy to actually doing this happy thing that you enjoy and living it in a really practical way on the day-to-day, at work, on your job. Okay, even if it's a little uncomfortable. So I think that's what's coming in here. Now, I don't think that this is a new thing. I don't think all of a sudden you're like, oh, I want to be happy on the day-to-day. I want to do more things that I really like to do. I think you've been thinking about it for some time. That's because we have had Mercury and Venus in a conjunction for the past few days or so, and they continue to be in a conjunction this week. All right, and they're in your 6th house. So I think you've been thinking for quite some time about your job, about your daily routines, about how you can do more of what you want in a really practical way. Maybe also with the 6th house health, maybe thinking a little bit about your health as well and how you can be happier with your health, live a more healthy life. Too, coming in, and I think when the sun moves into Aries on Wednesday, after you've been thinking about all of this stuff, then the focus begins to shift from, okay, right, I've been thinking a lot about how I can be happy. I've been thinking a lot about what I need to enjoy life and to live a better life. I think the focus then starts to shift at the end of the week to, okay, now how can I start to actually do more of what I love on a regular basis and move forward on that, instead of it just all being in the mind, instead of everything being so hard in the past, how can I actually begin to be happier and to live it and to make it happen instead of just thinking about it, okay? And I think that's what goes on. Especially on Friday, do I see a lot of action happening and a lot of things going on. That's because on Friday, we have the sun as it moves into your 6th house of your job and your daily routines, making a square over to Mars in Capricorn, where it just moved into in your 3rd house of talk and of communication. So I think at the end of the week, as you start to move forward, doing something that makes you happy on the day-to-day, living this thing, I think there's lots of communication going on, lots of talking and lots of thinking here about this thing that it is that you enjoy, okay? Maybe what you're trying to do here is to make sure that you're letting other people know what makes you happy, that you're letting other people know what it is that you enjoy, what it is that you're doing on the day-to-day. Maybe you're also trying to work a lot of things out as well with other people. Maybe there's a lot of talking about what your schedule looks like, what you're doing in your daily routines, especially with Venus involved. Maybe you're trying to think a lot about and talking a lot about your relationships, who you work with on the day-to-day, who you partner with one-on-one coming in. Maybe there's also a lot of stuff about money, what kind of money you make at your job, how you rearrange and rearrange your finances on your job and on the day-to-day too. And I think that's what goes on at the end of the week, is that you start to make more progress to do something on the day-to-day, to have a different or a new set of daily routines, doing something that you really like, and then you end up having to work out some of the details, do a lot of communication about it, think a lot about what's going on, so that you can make sure that you're living your life, having a set of daily routines that really does make sense to you and that really can work, I want to say, almost strategically with your community moving forward, okay? So that's what I see happening there. As the sun is in a square with Mars, we also do have Venus also in your 6th house, making a square over here to Pluto, also in your 3rd, where Mars is, of talk and communication. So as you're communicating a lot and thinking a lot about your job and daily routines and how you can get the right strategy in place to move forward on the day-to-day, having everyone come on board with you, know where you stand, I think you realize, maybe I need to think about my life differently. Maybe I need to change the way I think and communicate with people. Maybe I need to change the way I interact with my immediate community, the people around me, in some way, so that I can start to have a better job, have a better set of daily routines that I really like, and live a life that people know it's on board where I am and where I stand, and so that I myself can think in a better way now about this new life that I'm living and that I have. All right, so I think that's what's going on there. Then after that happens on Saturday, Mercury starts to go retrograde in your 6th house of your job and daily routines, saying, okay, now that you're moving forward on a job and daily routines, now that you're communicating about them with people, thinking more seriously about what your days look like and how you can do your days better, then Mercury retrograde says, okay, you got to make sure here that you have the right job that you want, that you have the right set of daily routines, that everything you've been working towards to have a job or set of daily routines that you want, you got to make sure now that you're doing things right, that you're really stepping into this life and this person on the day-to-day that you've been cultivating. All right, so that's what I see going on there this week. Now your card, Scorpio, is Justice, upright. This to me is definitely a card a lot of times of balance and of fairness. What goes on in the 6th house is your days get really busy. Either your days get busy or your days get hard with the 6th house, because there's so much to do and you're just buried under so much work that's not always easy. And I think what this card is saying, balance, balance. You got to find a way here to do what you want, to do what you like, to do what makes you happy, and you got to find a way to balance that with the things you have to do. You have to have your ice cream if you like your ice cream, but you also got to have your broccoli and your vegetables too. That comes in a lot. The 6th house ruling health, and I think you need to figure out how to find that balance in your life, doing what you want to do versus doing what you need to do. I think also with this card too, Justice comes in value and fairness. You have to make sure that your attention and your time is going to the things that can reward you the most, or that can lead to the best results that can help you move forward. All right, and I think if you can do that, work on the things that are going to help you the most, find the balance in your life, and maybe even with other people, find the balance to work with other people in the right ways. I think it's going to help you here to start to have more of a job, have more of a daily routine that you like better, whether or not it's just working better with people at your job, or whether it's just living a life, doing things more where you just feel more joyful and happy. And I think there's an opportunity for you to do that this week if you find more of the balance in life and figure out how to do more of what can help you. okay? So that's what I've got for you this week, Scorpio. Thank you so much for watching my horoscope. If you like it, please like it on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, sign up for my Mercury retrograde webinar, and I will talk to you later.